After wrangling my personal thrift store stash, I found a variety of 5 items to share with you today. The last project is my favorite, and I have to say, it's pretty foxy. My name is Melissa. This is Craft Crumbs. Thank you for joining me. This first project looks to be an old coat hanger that someone painted white. I can see the word welcome sneaking through there at the top and screw holes where the old hooks used to be. I covered the entire piece with 2 coats of chalk paint in the color Agave. And while that paint was still damp, went in with some light gray acrylic paint and started to blend that in. This color variation adds depth and draws the eye in. Next, I take this marquee outside and spray it with 1 coat of matte black paint. I didn't have any bronze paint that I could find, so I'm taking a little bit of acrylic paint in the color Burnt Umber and just dry brushing it over the raised areas of the marquee. Using the Agave color paint that's left on my brush, I just graze it over the marquee. And then I'll do the same on the hardware, but on the hardware I'll wipe a majority of it back. The only thing left to do is to attach this hardware so we have a place to hang our handbags and coats. And this project is done. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. This bird candle holder is gorgeous the way that it is, but I wanted to make it more my aesthetic. I painted the entire piece in matte acrylic paint in the color Cotton Blue. The first coat was just the blue paint, but the second coat I had mixed with glazing medium, and this gave it a hint of shine. I couldn't find the footage, but I did go over this lightly, dry brushing some antiquing wax and then wiping it back before the next step. To slightly antique this candlestick, I'm going to use my yellow ink pad and dab it over the raised areas and just other sporadic areas of the candlestick to make those details come out. And when this ink dries down against the blue, it's going to look more of a greenish yellow color. I just love using this technique on metal projects I've painted. Here's the finished candle holder. This definitely fits better in my living room. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. This wind spinner was not a thrift flip. It was instead given to me by my uncle who's downsizing and was getting rid of many of his yard ornaments. I pulled this directly out of his yard, so it definitely had some weathering. It's not in terrible shape here, but it has a little bit of rusting in the back. I start by spraying Bass Bar metallic silver paint all over the front and the back of this sun spinner. There are a few steps in how I paint this, but this is one of those projects that I could have stopped at any point and it would have been beautiful. I'm going to use my gold gilding polish to cover the face of the sun and a portion of each flame. Already, this thing is looking so much better. I finally located my bronze metallic paint, and I'm using that to kind of highlight the facial expressions. And then where I think I've gone a little heavy on it, I dab again with that wet sponge that has the gilding polish on it to tone it down a bit. Here I'm using that same bronze metallic paint and working my way from the center to about the halfway point of where that gold was. Adding in this turquoise blue paint. This is enamel paint, otherwise known as glass paint. And I love the sheen that this gives and the coverage on metal. I was so enjoying the weather on this day, working on this project out back on the patio. But I could see the clouds rolling in and I could start to hear thunder. So I pack up and move this project inside. Back in the craft room, I'm ready to add in a darker shade of blue in that same kind of enamel glass paint. With my brush wet, I start to pull the dark blue into the light and the light blue into the dark to give the ends of each flame an ombre effect. I'm using a popsicle stick that I've marked because some of the flames are shorter than others. It kind of goes every other one is short and then every other one is a little longer. So just to keep all of the paint kind of cohesive, I'm using that popsicle stick as a template or a guide. And once I'm happy with that and it's dry, I'll go back in with the gilding polish and get just the tips of each flame. I'm giving our face some blue eyes. I go over the entire sun, face and flames with my dragonfly glaze, top coat in the color violet blue. Once it's in the ground, I sprayed it with a top clear coat to protect it from the weather. And here is what it looks like complete. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. In the final two projects, we're going to be doing what I call a continuous break pattern. To introduce or reintroduce this to you, I'm going to keep this first one very easy. This grouping has 3 pieces in total, but I'm only going to do the continuous break pattern on 2 of them. Off camera, I painted them in a cute pattern that I like on one, and then just the entire inside of the other in a corresponding gray color. While I was painting, there was some seepage of the paint that bled through the opposite side, so I just periodically flipped it over and with a baby wipe, wiped that wet paint away. It was very easy and cleaned the back side up nicely. When planning what transfer I wanted to use for these, I had to pick out something that was going to be longer and something that could stretch across the 2 pieces. These transfers of birds and branches were perfect. I will have this and other products in this video linked down below in the description box for you. I'm going to cut this branch in half, and with the ladles or scoops laying in a way that I think I might want to actually hang them on the wall, I will run this branch from one to the other as though it's continuous. If you're enjoying this video, please do me a solid, give it your stamp of approval by clicking the like button, share it with your friends, and comment below. This kind of engagement lets YouTube know that this content is worthy of pushing out to other crafters like us. Your support is everything and allows me to continue bringing videos that inspire you to create on a budget. Once I have the branch down, I am looking to add a bird and some other cute elements, but we're really just keeping this one very clean and simple. The bird cage and the tiny butterfly on the opposite one came from a different pack of transfers. They do look a little more shiny than the bird and the branch, but I think it still looks great. On this longer ladle, you can see that the only thing I painted was around the rim. And it didn't have a hanger, so that's all I'm doing here is just adding something that I can use to hang it up if I choose to. I chose not to seal these pieces because I wanted to keep that rattan that's still exposed in its natural state. But here is the final project. Restoring thrift store items can often take a lot of time and many steps to complete, but this is an example of something that can be fast and easy and look beautiful in your home. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. You've made it to the final project. Thank you for hanging in there with me. This last DIY is going to be a very foxy one. I'm typically not a fan of the heart cutouts you find in vintage wood pieces, so my first objective is to cover that heart up. When this project is done, the entire front piece will be covered with this one sheet of paper. I start by using that wood blank as a template to cut out the face of the fox. I'll Mod Podge that onto the wood round, and now we have the piece that's going to cover that heart and the beginning of our continual break. To get it ready for its refresh, I removed those tiny brass hooks, the price sticker, and wiped it down, then took it outside and gave it one coat of primer. I'm going to take the rest of that rice paper and start to fill in the other areas. I'll keep my little head circle off to the side for quick reference just to make sure things stay lined up. I'm just working from the bottom and going up to the top. You'll see me putting the main elements on, but also taking other parts of that paper that were kind of scraps and using them to fill in and cover the white paint where I need it. I'm using wood glue to attach the fox head and cover up that heart. I Mod Podged over the entire design and then used chalk paint in the color moss to cover all of the white areas as well as the back. Here is what it looks like complete after I added larger bronze hooks, a bronze nameplate, and colored in the ears a little bit more. I didn't think the ears with just the paper were so pronounced, and I may have messed this up at the top, but you almost couldn't see them because the ears were slightly faded. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transformation. Here's a look back at what we flipped today. I love the turnout of all of these. Let me know if you have a favorite. And if you're in the mood for more thrift flips, here's a video that is an everyday thrift flip, but I posted it around Christmas and it didn't get very many views. You will not be sorry to check that one out next. Until we meet again, friend, don't forget to craft what you love.